welcome back to the second episode of We'll Run For. I'm your host, Tom. We're a podcast for running, beer, travel, food, and basically anything we want to talk about. I'd like to introduce my co-hosts. Hello, Erin.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Michael.
How's it going?
Hi, Diana.
Hey.
Hope everyone's doing well. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about what we're running for this week. We're going to share some feedback from our listeners. Then during our main discussion, we'll meet our host, Erin, and she's going to walk us through her running journey. Michael will then introduce a new What Would You Rather? And then we'll finish up by each sharing something awesome with you.
All right.
So guys, we went live. How's everybody feeling?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun seeing everyone come to the page and look. And I thought it was really great how we all took a different approach. Like I said, okay, I'm going to invite like 4 or 5 people, let them take a listen. Tom said, I'm going to invite all 843 people I know on Facebook to come and like the page.
Oh, so 846 people.
I'm like, most podcasts, they're like, we'll do a couple, then we'll get good, and then we'll really start advertising it. Not we'll run for, we're just coming at you, however we come.
Nope.
Yeah, we've been hitting the Instagram pretty hard, too.
Well, we have, yes.
Tom
We've
was first.
Been storying like crazy.
Yeah.
Our adventures.
Yeah, you guys did a lot of running over the weekend. We did not, so there wasn't a lot from us.
You could always story some beer.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Or a movie. I don't know. That might be illegal. I don't know.
Just live stream a movie to our Instagram.
Yeah. Isn't there a feature on Netflix where you can do that or something? Share a movie or something like that?
I think there is. And then I know...
you can have Netflix parties.
That's what it is. Netflix
Yeah.
party.
It is.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever done that.
No.
Generally, we watch movies in like 4 segments.
That's true. It takes us forever to get through a movie.
Not us. We'll bang out a couple in a night.
Man, that's what she said.
Wait, that came across bad. I think the launch went good. People seem to be receptive to Facebook and Instagram, so very excited for how it went. We do have some listener feedback, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we asked everyone on Facebook, and I think we asked on Instagram as well, what everyone was running for. So we were really excited that we got some responses back. Michelle, who's one of our good friends, she's up in Brooklyn. She said that she's a little disappointed that all of her races were canceled, but she's actually running to see how fast she can finish the Subway Challenge. And I was asking her, what the hell is that? What is this Subway Challenge? And it's actually a virtual challenge where runners can sign up. And they run the equivalent miles of the New York City subway system, which is 245. Which is insane. So she's doing that over 15 weeks, but she's trying to finish that a lot sooner. So yeah, she inspires me a lot. A lot of times if I'm feeling lazy, I'll see that she's out doing something crazy and eating donuts. And I'm like, well, I might as well get out there and do a couple miles for Michelle.
And then eat a donut.
And then eat a donut.
Yeah.
Our friend Bill from Texas, he said that he is running from his past self. And in his words, he said that from his uber unhealthy past self. I think that we can all have that in common, though, right? I mean, I think
Ditto, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Although Bill should have said that he's running for his adorable wife. They're the cutest couple in the world. So shout out to the Taylors. Okay, and then let's see who else said something. Oh, I feel this. Amy C. from Tempe, Arizona said that she is running for ice cream. I feel that. I think ice cream is my favorite food. I could eat it every day.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, I mean, ice cream for sure. And Amy and we have been Instagram friends for a while before we became real life friends that we met through the previous run groups that we've been in. And her and I are like soul sisters when it comes to food. Every single time one of us posts something about food, we're all about it. And she did post an ice cream cone the other day from Dairy Queen, and it was missing the DQ curl. Which was weird.
What is that?
The DQ curl? It's like the classic curl that the DQ people make. Like in the commercials, you see the swirl, and then at the top it has the DQ curl.
I feel like that's just a soft serve
Oh
curl.
my gosh.
She should have taken it back and gotten another one.
Right?
I demand a refund.
Matt H. from Marin County in California. He says that he is running for weight loss and cardio and pulmonary health. And he says that it is working. So
That's good.
That's great.
Oh, that's pretty good. We actually have someone who is running for something serious. So
Yeah.
I love that. He's elevated our podcast with one piece of feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then we have the audio one here from Dale, which I will play right now.
Hey, folks, this is Dale_A, and I'm not a very healthy person, but I started to run, and I keep running for my own sanity to try to keep it together, and I think it's been working so far. Maybe I'll start seeing some health benefits because of it, but love the show. Keep up the great work. I'll see you later.
Yes, so Dale is from the Bat and Spider podcast, which I mentioned last week. Yeah, he started doing the Couch to 5K program just recently. So, and he's been having those issues that I think we all had in the very, very, very beginning, where you want to chop your legs off because they feel like they're like your shins are going to rip apart or your calves are going to rip apart, or the first time you do like 2.5 miles, you just want to die. He's having those kind of issues. So, but you're not alone.
Well, yay, Dale! We're really proud of you.
Yeah, we feel that.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yes. Everyone starts someplace, and the important part is to keep going, because that's how
consistency.
Consistency is how you get past that.
Yeah, I remember when I first started running, I didn't even know like what to wear. So I would go out in cotton t-shirts and basically sweatpants, thinking that was a good idea. So I think it took me a few months to actually figure out, okay, what do I wear and how's my body supposed to feel and what's normal and what's not normal for my body to feel during a run.
Oh,
so
God.
I think getting started is the hardest part.
Yeah, I'm sure we all made a ton of mistakes. Cotton clothing being the biggest one. Yeah,
wrong shoes.
Yeah.
So many things.
I remember when I was training for my first half, and we have a gym membership at the YMCA. And I remember I was trying to go to the gym on the way home from work, because if I came home from work and I had to turn around and go back to the gym, that probability was very low that was actually going to happen. So I got to the gym and I realized I only had dress socks on.
Oh.
So I get on the treadmill in tennis shoes and dress socks, and I tore my feet apart. It was the worst thing in the world. I looked stupid, but then it was just
and then you felt stupid.
I was like, socks are socks. What's the difference? And I found out that night what the difference was.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. So that's a good segue. What are all of us running for this week?
I can kick us off. So we actually just got an email the other day that we're going to, in the next few weeks, start going back into the office. So that kind of lit a fire under me. Now that I've been wearing sweatpants for about 3 months or so. My friend Ryan, he has this goldfish theory that I'm now subscribed to, where a goldfish will grow into whatever size container you put it in. So in this scenario, my body is the goldfish and my sweatpants is the container. It's the fishbowl. So now I've expanded into the sweatpant container and I need to shrink back down to fit into actual work pants. So right now I am running for weight loss, sanity, making sure I can button my pants. I think that is really my goal of what I'm running for this week.
You were so eloquent.
That's a good one. So I'm basically running so in early July, we have a little goal run we want to do, 100K here in South Jersey. So right now I'm running to get those miles in to prep for that. So these next couple weeks are going to be just about stacking time on feet and stacking miles and being hot and miserable and wearing a vest and
summer's the right time to do that.
Yeah, mid-July is when you want to run 100K through South Jersey in the middle of the day.
Have you guys ever run 100K before? Or this will be the first time, and that's why it's a goal.
Well, one of us came up with this idea.
I don't know why. I let him talk me into some of these things. I'm not sure how this happens. Like one day he's just on the computer mapping something and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, mapping a route to the shore. And I'm like, wait, what? From here? He's like, yeah. I'm like, how many miles is it? I don't know. It's like 60-ish. So I figure we could do 100K.
That's funny that
ahead,
you said
apparently.
that, because when I hear 100K, I had no idea how many miles that was.
Well, it's a 10K times 10.
So 6.2.
I guess that's easy.
Oh, math.
I was told there'd be no math.
Like a 50K. It's a 5K
Oh my
times 10.
gosh.
All right, let's get back on track. So I'm running this week, and really, I think it's when I heard Dale's feedback, it's kind of the same thing. I'm running for a sense of stability and a bit of an escape, and I think that's a lot of the reasons why I'll just go out on a random run, so I can just put my headphones in and kind of lose myself in it. So that's really, that's kind of a generic answer for me, but that's pretty much what it is. I don't have any races that I'm training for. I'm just, continuing my move streak into June. And
oh, cool.
I just for that, just the sense of stability.
Yeah, that's a super good reason. Just the quiet, peaceful sanity of running.
Yes, I agree. I this week was running basically to get back to my car. Which, have you ever been out on a run and all you want to do is be done? Like you're just like, I'm done. I'm over this. I just need to get back to wherever my car is.
Erin, that's all of my runs.
So this week we went out for a 15 miler, which I know sounds awful to Diana because everything we do sounds awful.
My mileage isn't there right now.
And somehow we went down a trail that had too much water on it. So we decided that we were going to backtrack. And so then we went to go take another trail. Only that trail went absolutely nowhere except in a big circle.
It did go straight for like a half a mile. Then it went in like a quarter-mile circle right back to itself.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that we're going in a very circular motion right now back to meet the other part of the trail that we've already been on. And now we still have to get back to our car, which is still now we have to add another 3 miles. It's actually almost 4 miles, but we decided at 18 that we were just going to be done. And we started walking and we still had another like half of a mile to get back to our car at least. So this week I ran to get back to my car and be done.
All right, so let's move into our main topic for this week. So in our first episode, we introduced the 4 of us and how we met. And then we thought it would be a good idea for the next couple episodes to individually, each of us talk about our running journey. And like I said, we drew straws, and Erin, you got the short straw, or you really volunteered to go first, which I think is brave.
I did not, because originally my name was just put first, and I said, no, I do not want to go first. And I tried to decline. And then I thought about it. I was like, I might as well just bite the bullet and get it over with.
I think it was alphabetical order.
You were voluntold.
Alphabetical.
Also, my
okay, I was just going to say, do we know the alphabet? Do we know the alphabet?
Let's see how long that took.
It was pretty immediate.
All right, so
okay.
Erin, are you ready to talk about your running journey?
I suppose.
All right, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. There's so much pressure. I've been running since I've kind of been a dabbler of running for a lot of my life, where after college, I would go for a couple runs, but I would do it wrong, where you just go all out and try and run. And then you feel like you're dying and you hate everything about it.
I feel like that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right?
And so I think that I was a dabbler into the running world multiple times through my 20s and part of the way into my 30s. And then in 2014, I had a lot of stress in my life. So I started trying to go after work for walks. I would walk on a bike path that was by my house, listen to some music or some podcasts and kind of just let go of the day. And at some point, I started thinking to myself, I wonder if I could run to, say, that mailbox. And so I would run a little bit to the mailbox and then I would stop. And so I accidentally became a walk runner where I would run a little bit and then take a break and then run a little bit and then take a break. And I never really followed one of those Couch to 5K plans that Michael was talking about that a lot of people do. But it was sort of in that same vein where I realized that if I didn't just try and go all out, I felt okay. And so I started thinking to myself, this is really great for my health. It's really great for my stress level. It's kind of a way to like let all of the stress of my day go. And so I really started enjoying being outside and doing that. I think that at some point that year, I decided that I was going to run a race every month for that year to keep me going. So I signed up for a 5K almost every month. At the end of the year, my goal was to get to a 10K. And a couple friends were doing like mud runs. It was like a big time when the Spartan and Warrior Dash and all those things were really big. Color runs were really big then. The bubble run, the inflatable 5K. There was tons of those kinds of races out there at that time. So I signed up for one a month and I challenged myself to do it. And so that's how I started my run journey.
Mud runs.
So did you?
Oof.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say mud runs seem really disgusting. They have zero appeal.
Oh, I love them.
There's a lot of isn't there a lot of fecal matter in that mud?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. It's fine. My
Here's the thing.
goodness. Who's pooping in the...
Well, I mean, geese, gooses, whatever.
Says the trail runner. What do you think you're running in?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, that went in a different direction than I was
I
expecting.
feel like I saw a study on it somewhere.
Science.
Don't quote me on it.
All right. So after that first year, you did a 10K. And how'd that feel?
I actually don't really remember. Is that terrible? I think by then I had already put it in my mind that I wanted to do a half marathon. So I think at that point I was already that was kind of a training run for me.
Looking forward to a
half. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure that my 10K doesn't stand out to me.
Because you started out with it as a goal, and then as you progressed, it just became part of your training on your way to a new goal rather than the actual goal, which is kind of what running becomes.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah, that's true. That's
because I feel like there was a moment in time that I, like every other runner, was like, I'm never going to do more than a 5K. And then I did my first 2 5Ks. I was like, I could probably do a 10K. And then I remember someone even saying to me at that point in my life, if you can run a half marathon, you can run a marathon. And I was just at the point where I hadn't even run a 10K yet. And that idea that if you could run a half marathon, you could go double the distance seemed ridiculous to me.
I feel like that's not true. I feel like that a half marathon is very physical. And that a full marathon, while being physical, it's also way more mental.
I agree.
Than a half marathon. I don't know. I just feel like it's totally different. The idea of 26 miles is, I mean, you heard me last podcast. I had a mental breakdown on the course.
But I do feel like physically you could do it.
Yes.
Not like off of the half marathon training per se, but I think if you have committed yourself enough to run a half marathon, you could put in a little extra training to finish a full marathon. But yeah, you would just be finishing and there would be some serious you would hit a wall.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree with that. So after that 10K, or leading up to that 10K, I remember somebody saying that to me and me being like, there's no way. I'm just going to go to the half marathon distance and there's no way I'm ever going to run a marathon. Like, that isn't even in my wheelhouse. That isn't even what I want to do. I just want to be able to say I ran a half marathon and then I can go back to running these 5Ks and these 10Ks and that's it. So I ran my first half marathon. It was in Wildwood, New Jersey. It was at that time branded as the Wildwood Half Marathon. It was in 2015. I ran it and I got injured within the first 3 miles.
Wow.
Where I had this extreme knee pain.
Wow.
I have no idea what I did, but on the back of my knee, the entire time, I could feel just this throbbing pain, and I refused to stop running because
Just like a runner.
I'm so dumb, and I made it really bad. But whatever. I made it walk running through the first probably 8 miles somehow. And then I pretty much walked the rest of it. And I remember crossing the finish line and just hysterically crying.
Because of the pain? Because you were excited that you finished?
I don't even know.
All of it?
It was all of this emotion of like, I mentally pushed myself to that finish line stupidly because I was really injured and should not have done that.
Yeah.
So it was the mental side of it. It was the fact that I crossed the finish line, and it was the fact that I was in pain. So all of it. I came across, I was hysterically crying, and this medic just looks at me like, oh my God, there's something wrong with her. And I just remember falling into the arms of some random stranger medic and them being like, are you okay? And I don't really, everything's kind of a blur, but yes, that's the memory is me just crossing the finish line and falling into their arms. This random stranger.
So then what was the grace period between this race and then you were like, the next time you wanted to sign up for something?
Oh, I signed up like that next day because I was so mad that this was not how I wanted my half to be. Like, I did not want my first and only half, because in my head that was supposed to have been my only half. I did not want that to be that way. So that was in May, and there was another local race, the Atlantic City Half Marathon, that was going to be in October. So I immediately signed up for the half marathon, knowing that I needed vengeance.
That is very runner of you.
But it wasn't
Very
because
runner of you.
I had forgotten the pain. It was just that I needed to know that I did it the way that I wanted to. So I signed up for that half marathon. I got through that one. I did pretty decent at that. By that time, I had joined a run club and was starting to run with some people. And so I had made a couple run friends. And a girl mentioned running a marathon. She caught me on just the right day, I think it was. For some reason in my head, I was like, if she's going to do it, and I'd have somebody to travel with and do it, maybe I should sign up. It's a lottery. I'll just put my name in, and we'll just leave it up to the lottery gods. If I get in, then I guess I'm doing a marathon. If I don't, then I guess it was never meant to be for me to not do a marathon. So I put my name into the Marine Corps Marathon lottery for 2016. So I did my training through that summer for my first marathon. It was hot. I remember feeling tortured the whole time, but I remember signing up for it thinking, oh, it'll be fall. It's the end of October. It'll be heat training through the summer, sure, but by October, it'll be fine. And my really long miles will be in September and October. So mostly I'll be running in cooler temperatures. Only now in New Jersey, there's no such thing as cool temperatures through September and October, and the humidity lingers forever.
Of course. Well, it's interesting because I know MCM, and I've gone and I've cheered and I've run the 10K there. It has a lot of course support, but I know it does intimidate a lot of runners because there's a really strict pace requirement. where they'll pull you off the course.
There's 3 spots. I know you have to beat the bit bridge. There's like something called the gauntlet. There's specific mile points you have to be at. Otherwise, they sweep you. And they ask, there's a bus that comes and takes you off the course.
Did you even know that was a thing when you signed up, or how experienced were you?
I had no idea until after I'd signed up for it that there was a pace requirement. I knew I was a strong enough runner that I thought that I could make it. Once I did find out, I knew that I had to train to keep at a certain pace. So that was helpful. At the time I signed up, like I said, I had no idea.
Yep, sounds right. Sounds accurate to what most of us do.
I feel like that would make it a tough first marathon because of the pace requirements at specific spots.
I think it does, but it's also really good. They say it's a good first timers because of the course support and the atmosphere. So I think it's got both sides to that.
Yeah, it keeps you like kind of out of your head a little bit. There's enough going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ran that with a friend. I crossed that finish line. That's a really great race. I've gone back to it 3 times now because I really do love the Marines. And I don't know whether it's just because it holds a special place in my heart as my first time marathon, but I just love that race. I love the atmosphere. And then when you get to the finish line, there are Marines lined up for, I don't know, like 50, 60 Marines deep giving high fives. And then you get your medal put around your neck by a Marine. And it's just, I don't know, something about it that just is so emotional. And again, I don't know if it's because it was my first marathon, because I just remember, again, I hysterically cried at the end of that race too.
And then some years at NCM, Diana and Tom are waiting for you at the end with beer.
Yes, which is amazing. That was the second one I did. You guys were there. And I just remember I had my New York City Marathon, because by then I'd run the New York City Marathon. I had a poncho, and underneath it I was doing a wardrobe change, and Diana's holding a beer up to my mouth so that I could drink beer while I'm changing out of my clothes, because that's what friends do.
That is what friends do. We had run the 10K, and our other friend, Matt, we were going to go at somewhere to meet you on the course. And then we just ended up going into a bar and hanging out, waiting for you guys to finish, and made sure that we were at the finish line and had everything you guys needed for when you came across. So it was a great day. We had great weather that day. I don't think it was super hot.
Yes, I loved having you guys at the end of that race. That was so much fun. I remember getting the text from Matt that was like, I'm going drinking with Tom and Diana instead of seeing you on course. I was like, oh, of course you are. That kind of leads me into the next thing, I guess, is that along the way, I started making friends. As we were doing all this run stuff, I started joining groups. I started listening to a few podcasts. I found a local run group. So I was running with people. I was really starting to enjoy that running community. So I started signing up for more and more races. I did a lot of halves. I made a goal to run the 50 states, or a half marathon in every state. So I started traveling with friends so that I could meet that goal. I think I've run 13 states at this point. But I also started running longer distances around that time. So now I'm running a half or longer in every state. So basically, it's a great way to travel and see the country while running and doing something I love. And I get to see friends that are kind of all around the country. So that's been really fun.
So you said at this point, you've been targeting longer distances, right? You've done your full. So what was after the full? Like, what was your next distance?
Well, so after the full marathon, I had said one and done, because everyone says one and done. And then the same person, my friend Corinne, who convinced me to do Marine Corps, wanted to get into New York City. So we fundraised for charity that following year to get into New York City. So I charity ran New York City. And then I think that I just got the the bug for running distance along that way. I had met some friends. 3 of them were planning to run the Seashore 50K down in Virginia Beach. So there was some conversation about that. I'd watched like 4 or 5 of my other friends do it the previous year, and they had talked about how great that race was and that they wanted to go back to it. So they put the bug in my ear that a 50K is only 5 more miles than a marathon. If you could run a marathon, you could just walk those last 5 miles if you had to and be an ultra marathoner. Like, okay, I could buy that.
The lies we tell ourselves.
Well, I would say it's actually pretty similar training. Like, you don't have to do much more training really to do a 50K.
Well, at that time, I don't think that I really understood that.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying now, looking back on it, you can say, because it's such a different thing unless you're running like on the road or something. Like running on a trail, you're going to have natural walk breaks and stuff. So,
yes, I don't think that I knew that at that time. I just knew that my friends were doing it and that I was in Virginia Beach, and I'd been to Virginia Beach several times doing the Shamrock half marathon. So I knew that it was a fun place where you could go to breweries and hang out with people. And so I was all in because I don't know how to say no when it comes to people asking me to do races. So I say yes. That's actually brings us back to the story about how I had met Michael, which was I started training for the trail running. And so we were running on the trails. I got through that race. I remember it was a December race and it was in Virginia Beach. So we thought the temperatures wouldn't be too bad. It'd probably be semi-mild, warmer than New Jersey, but not hot in December. And that day was somewhere in the 60s. It was humid. It had rained. It was raining. It was muddy.
Like nature betrayed you.
It was the worst ever. I just remember thinking to myself after that if I never saw mud again, it would be too soon. Because the trail was just, and it's in Virginia Beach. So you think sand and the sea, but no, it was mud.
Oh, God.
And then there was a storm out at sea. And so the tide came higher than it normally does. So at one point, there's a section on the trail that literally has the tide that goes over top of the trail. So in order to run, you have to run through the seawater.
No.
The bay water as it's coming in.
I'm going to tap out.
Absolutely not.
And that was my first 50K experience. But along the way, I fell in love with the actual trails themselves. I started enjoying being out on the trails. I feel like the trails are where no one cares about much. You can go any pace. You can just enjoy nature. You could walk. No one cares. It's so much more casual than even road running. Trail runners, I think because most trail runners eventually get to the ultra distances, so we're all a little extra brand of crazy. So it's just different.
How do you fall on a trail? Like a lot, right?
I think that I have fallen, I don't know, 5, 6 times. There was definitely the time that I fell that Michael didn't help me up. That very first time I fell.
Sounds like a you problem.
Shouldn't have fallen.
I actually fell 2 weeks ago, or not even 2 weeks ago. It was not this weekend, but the previous weekend. I fell when we were on a rocky trail, and that one hurt really bad because I fell on a big, bouldery rock.
Oh, God.
So that was kind of painful. But I don't think, I'd say considering how much I run on trails, and that was in 2018, so I've been running on trails for 2 full years now, I'd say maybe like 5 or 6 times I've fallen. So that's not a whole lot.
Okay.
No.
Your percentage is low.
My percentage is low.
I think you're fine.
So after the 50K, it was just a matter of that I liked being out on the trails. And so I decided that I was just going to keep going out on the trails and doing that. And that kind of led me into doing more 50Ks and more of this trail stuff. And I've kind of gone into the ultra world, I guess, at this point, where I've done 4 50Ks. And then in 2019, last year, actually, just this past October, Michael was training for the Batona 55 miler in South Jersey here. It's a trail in South Jersey that is 52.3 miles long,
Something like that,
point to point. And it runs the entire length of that trail from one end to the other end. So you get on a bus at the finish line and they bus you to the beginning of the trail, and then you run the entire trail along with a little bit of extra to get off the road and to where the finish line is, and it's equivalent to 55 miler. So he was training for that, and I was doing a lot of the trail running with him and building my miles. I wanted to keep my mileage up at that point so that I could run a 50K if I felt like it that fall. And they also have a race that's a 33 miler. So you start a little bit further down the trail and you do 33 miles of it. So I had planned to sign up for the 33 miler, but by the time I got there, it was closed. And the only thing that was available was the 55 miler. So I was like, well, I've been training the miles. I wonder if I could do it.
Let's rewind. Let's rewind to January of 2019.
I knew this was going to happen.
Let's rewind to the Disney Marathon.
No, I don't know what he's talking about. This didn't happen.
So
This
I
never
said,
happened.
you're not going to be able to find it on Facebook, but we have witnesses. I said, you should probably just run the 55 miler in October.
Nope. This
I'm
didn't
never,
happen.
let me quote, I am never running 55 miles, ever. I will never run a 55 miler.
I don't think this happened. There is no proof of this occurring.
And I believe this went on for about all the way up through Shamrock. I was like, oh, you're going to sign up for the Batona 50. Like, I am not running 55 miles. There's no way
I
I'm
think
ever
it went
gonna
longer than Shamrock. I'd say that probably
probably
went
went
through
longer,
like the summer.
Yeah, probably.
And I was like, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to run 55 miles.
All right, now you can finish.
You're crazy.
Finish what happened with the race.
You're crazy. And and so the 55 miler was what was there. And so I signed up to run 55
So wait,
miles.
time out real quick. You were not registered for this race until you showed up to the race.
No, it's like
No.
a month maybe.
It was like September. The race was the mid-October, I'd say. And I thought to myself, so he was training, and I thought to myself, if I can get my mileage up, I can definitely at least do the 33 miler. I was toying with it in my head, like maybe I could do the 55 miler. I don't think so, but let me do the miles and see where I'm at. And so we were doing his build, and I think we had done like a 10, a 15, and a 20 in one weekend, back to back to back. And I thought to myself, maybe I could get through it. So when I went to go sign up and the 55 miler was available, I just clicked really quickly and held my breath and said, okay, I guess I'm in. So I would say it was maybe 3 to 4 weeks before the race.
Or did you switch from the 50K?
No, I never signed up for
Okay.
no, I'd never signed up for either race. There was a wait list. There may have been something.
Oh, no, you were on the wait list, and then Vanessa from Beast Pacing, who runs the Batona Trail Series, was like, no, you got to do the 50.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember there being a wait list, and I had put myself on the wait list, and then I was trying to make a decision. I don't remember the exact how it went, but somehow in the end, like 3 weeks before this race was going off, I was running a 55 miler suddenly. Yeah. So this was not in my like original plans for the fall racing season. However, during that race, Michael's race kind of didn't go that well.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that some other time. I, however, was feeling really great that day. The temperature in the morning was really great. I was going. My goal was just to move through like the marathon distance as best as I could, and then see what I could do after that. And so I was running faster than I was planning to through the first 20 miles. I was feeling really good. I got into an aid station. I don't remember what mile that aid station's at. 18?
Which one?
Carranza?
Yeah, it's about 20, 18 to 20.
Yeah. I got into that aid station, and one of the women says to me at the aid station, "Oh, you're the first female." And I was like, "No, that's not possible." Like that's
so crazy. You're just like in the zone and you don't even realize what's going on. Yeah. Like you're just feeling your run. I love those runs.
I feel like, no, but I'd seen like another woman in front of me, and I knew we had hopped each other a few times, and that like 2 or 3 of us had hopped each other a few times. And I knew that I had hopped 2 other women, but I didn't know what was in front of me. I assumed other people were in front of me. And so when I got there and she was like, "You are the first woman to come in." And I totally didn't believe her either. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that's true. She's like, "No, there's been the 33 miler, but not like you're the first female for the 55. I'm like, okay. And as she's saying this to me, the second female is coming into this aid station, and I am like, this lit a fire under my butt. And I was like, I need to get moving, because now in my head, all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm going to place first.
Have you ever even considered that in any race that you've ever signed up for?
No, and I don't know why this inspired me in this moment, because this wasn't a goal. This wasn't even my goal race. Like, this was not something I decided I was going to do originally. So she comes into the aid station, and I was like, my only goal now is to keep moving well enough that I'm always in front of whoever this person is. But I was hot, and I had a vest on that had a lot of weight to it. And I just knew that if I could take that off and kind of reset myself and have a bottle, I might be able to like move faster and keep going. And so I ran a little bit, and a guy that I had seen and run with for a little bit said, "Oh, the other female passed a little bit ago, but you're moving way better than she is. So if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're going to pass her again."
Awesome.
And so I just kept moving. And I passed her at the next aid station, and I flew into that aid station, took like 3 things from the table, shoved them in my mouth, and off I went, because I was not going to talk to anyone. I was not going to like stop for anything. And I just kept going. And then I never saw her again. But in my mind, she was always right there behind me. And I would even look over my shoulder in moments that I was like starting to walk a little. I was like, no, you have to keep moving. And so at the end, I wasn't doing like any great paces. I was doing like 15-minute miles, but I knew that I had to keep trotting a little, because there was a possibility that if I just started walking like a 20-minute mile, she was going to catch up to me.
God,
She was your balloon lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll explain what that means in a later episode, but that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I just kept moving, and I made it to the finish line, and I somehow won my first 55 miler.
That's incredible. Erin, I want to be like you when I grow up.
A race you are never, ever, ever going to run.
Ever. I was never going to run 55 miles. And now I have bigger goals in mind. I'd like to run a 100-miler at some point. I did my first 24-hour race this year. I like being out on the trails. I like challenging myself. I like seeing how far I can get. I don't know that I'd ever go over 100, but I said I'd never go over a 5K at some point in my life. So who knows? I don't know what's in store, but I have sort of gone in that direction. I think that those races are more important and the endurance stuff. I think it's also because, like I said, it's a little more casual. You don't have to worry about speed. You just kind of do you. Like I can go a 14-minute mile and no one cares. I can walk on my hike pace and walk a 16 to 17-minute mile just to get some speed walking in to try and hike, and no one cares because it's just way more casual to me. Whereas I feel like road racing, everyone's always trying to find their next PR. And I didn't love that about running. It took me a while to even, before the trails, it took me even a while to learn how to fun run and find the joy in running races outside of goals. Because
was there like one race that kind of sets you in the direction of, okay, I can run for fun sometimes? And I know like the group of us, we have different races, right? Sometimes we run for fun and then sometimes we run for a goal, and they're very two different experiences. But like, what made you first realize you could run for fun?
I think that when I first started running, I had joined a run group that they were a little bit more serious. Everyone always had a goal race coming. And so everyone was always training at their paces or what their paces were going to be. They were always incorporating speed work. And I always felt that like keeping up with the Joneses type feeling about running. And so I made goals all the time. For the first 3 years, I think, I was always goal racing. And I think that it was Bird in Hand where I actually met you guys. That was the first race that I fun ran. I ran it with our friend Laura and Karen, and we didn't run for time. We stopped and we like took pictures with the pigs. If you're not familiar with Bird in Hand, it's in Lancaster, PA, and so it's in farm country, and there's cornfields and there's pigs and cows and horses and all kinds of farm animals, and so you can, along the route, you can stop and take pictures with the pigs on the side of the road and within the cornfields and all of that. So that was the first race that I ran with no time goal, with no real pressure, just went out there and ran. And I think that was the first time I realized, oh, like you can totally do a run, not have a goal, and not care about when you finish. Just go out there and have fun and run with friends, and it's okay. It's no big deal that you didn't set a PR.
Yeah, well, we ran the Baltimore half together, and I was like, I'm going to drag you guys down. It was you and your two friends. And I'm like, man, are you sure you want to fun run this with me? Because I was just trying to survive. I knew y'all could do the distance, but I was on intervals, so I was run walking. And I'm like, I know Erin's a very accomplished runner at this point. I'm like, are you sure you want to drag me through the city streets of Baltimore? And you were completely about it. You were all about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the balance that I had to find along the way, was that some races are for goals. And last year I PR'd in a lot of distances. I did a marathon, almost a full hour faster than I ran my very first marathon. I think my first marathon was over 5 hours. I ran my PR marathon now is 4:22. I did that in December, but again, that was a race for me, and I knew that I was going to go out and see what I could do. I wasn't 100% sure that I was even going to go for a PR that day, but I knew it was cooler out that day because it's a December race. I figured I would just put it out there and see what happens. And I managed to get to that PR. And that was for me. I knew people who were running it. I knew like 6 people, I think, were in town for it. But I knew that was just going to be me on that course by myself, seeing what I could do. And I think that's important too. But I also like the races where Tom's going to run and I don't care what's going on around me. My only goal is going to be to have fun with Tom and my two friends who absolutely loved you and your story times. When you run with Tom, it's story time, guys. So if you ever get a chance, run with Tom.
I think the fun part about that is they weren't really familiar with Baltimore. And so we would be on the course and we'd be running by something like some monument or some row of houses or some building. And I would just make up the history of that building or whatever
Yes.
we're running by.
Dave Thomas of Wendy's somehow owned one of the
man.
buildings, or like it was named Monticello or what?
Oh my God.
What's his middle name or something?
It's amazing.
I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
that was fun.
But yeah, that was actually my friend Amanda and Heather, and they're local to me here in New Jersey, and they had never fun run themselves. As far as, you know, on course, you can take beer from the people who are cheering. You can pet the dogs along the way, because Amanda and I are very big dog people. So you stop and you pet all the dogs that people have. You take selfies with them, and it's just a good time. There's no pressure for actual running anything fast. You just go out there and you have fun. And I think that's a great balance to find, because if all you're doing all the time is goal running, then at some point it starts to lose its joy and it becomes a chore and it becomes work and you're not having fun. So I tend to pick, you know, a one distance at a time. Like I'm going to run a half marathon goal. I'm going to run a marathon goal pace. But then all the other races I'm going to run for the rest of this year are all going to be fun runs. Like I'm not going to care about any of the rest of them.
Yeah, and you hit a pretty big goal this year too, because didn't you get your first half marathon under 2 hours?
I did, yes. That was a race I did with another friend who had been trying to get to her sub 2 half marathon, our friend Donna, for a few years, and she had asked me to possibly pace her because she knew that I was around the same pace as her, and I had never personally done a sub 2 half marathon myself. So that was a goal that she had, and the two of us ran that race, and we finished in, I think, 1 hour and 58 minutes and some odd seconds. So just right under that sub 2 goal.
So I know you've we're kind of in this weird place right now. We're kind of stuck in the weird. So a lot of our races are being canceled, but anything for the future, any goals you have for the future, or fun runs, or what's next? Like you had a few PRs this year. You did some new distances. What's coming up?
I don't actually have a whole lot of actual races on the calendar. I did the Tennessee Virtual, which is Laz, who does the Barkley marathons. If you're not familiar with them, it's a trail endurance race that there's a movie about out there where it's some extreme distance. You do 5 loops. You have to navigate yourself. He's a crazy man, but he normally does these crazy endurance races. And so because we're in this stage where everything's going virtual, he put out a Tennessee race that you run across the whole state, and it's 1,000K, which is 621 miles. And so I'm doing that. It's from May 1st to August 31st, so 4 months. And I'm doing that so that I have some sort of motivation to continue running the high miles, because without some sort of goal, even if it's not really super tangible and there's no exact finish line, it gives me a goal to keep moving. So I've got that. Michael had mentioned earlier the 100K adventure that we plan to do in July. So that's what we're building towards right now. And then fall, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. We're going to have to come up with some other sort of crazy goal, I guess, to keep me going. I deferred Big Sur. So we're doing that in 2022, I think. So I don't have any actual races on the calendar right now.
Disney.
Oh, that's right.
Disney Marathon.
I lied completely. We signed up for the Disney Marathon again because I've done that. This will be my 4th or 5th year. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be a bunch of years.
Yeah, if it goes off, it goes off. If not, not. Yeah. No
Yeah.
biggie.
But it went super fast this year, the registration for it. I have done Goofy every year that I've done it, and I did not get into Goofy, and I am disappointed. But
Goofy is the half and the full, right?
Goofy is the half and the full. Dopey is the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, and the full marathon. And Goofy is just the half and the full. So, yeah.
Cool.
I think that ultimately I want to get to the 100-miler. I just am not at this point ready to commit and to sign up for something because I don't know if races are happening. So, the goal was to maybe do one in January, but I think we're going to nix that just because I don't want to make travel plans and then not have it work out. And it's a long commitment to try and train for a 100-miler. So we'll revisit that in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Nice.
So that's me.
I think we know a little too much about Erin at this point. So everything you could possibly want to know, we now know. At least about
my running
history.
This is true.
That should be our segment. Ask Erin anything. What do
no.
you want to know?
Only if we can ask you everything as well, Diana.
No one wants that.
Nobody wants it, but to ask Erin everything too.
Well, thank you for sharing, Erin. And now it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Would You Rather? So you guys might have noticed that we published our poll with the options from the last episode. So with that poll, we got about 20 people that voted. 70% of those people actually said they'd go with the porta potty option. So most people agreed with us. And I think the no PR option was just too much for people to deal with. Anybody want to share what some of the feedback and some of the comments we got?
Yeah, sure. So Amy C actually commented that she would sacrifice a PR every time to ensure that no part of her body touches a porta potty. which I get.
That's fair.
That
That's very fair. Yeah.
I feel like she might be in a minority there because most runners at this point just embrace the porta potty.
Our friend Brittany mentioned that I think she would go with did she say the PR route because she can just wipe her ass later?
Yeah. Oh God.
And then our friend Donna, who we've mentioned, said that it would totally depress her if she would never be able to PR again. So she would go the PR route, but just buy new underwear.
Oh, there you go.
That makes sense. I mean, if you just use your underwear, then you just get rid of them right after you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this really just shows the priority of like runners. We're like, we don't care if we're covered in poo, but we got our PR. It's fine.
Technically, there was no guarantee you were getting a PR on the second one. You actually had to earn it.
Yes, you still have to earn it. But the thing
there was an opportunity,
the other one,
though. Yeah,
you would never get a PR again.
That's true.
And then what would be the point of like training? And I don't know.
All right. Yeah. It's true.
Anyway.
Well, on to this week. So for both of these, you are going to be in the best shape of your life and will have never felt better in your life. You'll be in amazing, tip-top running shape. You'll feel amazing and feel great. But you then have to choose one of these things. So for the next 5 years, the first one, you always smell like you just ran whatever you would consider a long run in summer weather. So when you're finished that, imagine how you smell. And that's how you smell at all times. Even when you shower, like you feel clean, but you still smell like you just got done running in 95-degree heat. That urine-y, sweaty smell, that horrific smell, that's what you smell like all the time for 5 years.
Why does it smell like urine?
I don't know.
Well, because there's urine in sweat. This is science.
He's been telling me this for like the last couple of weeks, and I'm so confused every single time he says sweat smells like urine.
Let's learn our biology, people.
But
It's science.
It's science.
You gotta, that horrible sweat
Yes,
smell.
I know the smell you're talking about.
So no matter how much you clean yourself, doesn't go. You could scrub yourself with a Brillo pad. It's not going away. You'll feel clean. You'll feel refreshed, but you will stink like you just ran in 95-degree heat with 100% humidity. Or you become an insufferable braggart. You don't have a choice in this. So no matter what you intend in a conversation, you cannot stop yourself from bragging about your running accomplishments. During every single conversation, it doesn't matter if it's at work, at a funeral, at a wedding, when the conversation starts, you immediately steer it to your running accomplishments and bragging about yourself. Every single time to every single person you talk to.
Can I go? Please let me go. I want to go. So I feel like this is similar to the other one where I picked toilet paper because not PRing ever and always tripping was just not an option. I feel like smelling terribly all the time for the next 5 years, regardless that I'd feel my best and that I'd be in the best shape of my life, wouldn't be worth it because you'd eventually get fired from work. You would have no friends. No one's going to want to hang around you because you're the smelly kid.
But do people want to hang around the braggart who steers every conversation to themselves?
Yeah, but I feel like I know people like that now.
He's married to one of them.
Yeah, so my tolerance for that is pretty high. So I feel like I would go with the bragging option where it's just, yeah, that's what I would go with.
I feel like Diana and I are going to be on the same page with this just because we're both already such self-talkers and we just like to talk about ourselves anyway. So
for you to stop talking now so I can talk about myself.
I mean, I really don't want to smell. I'm kind of with Tom on this one. Like the idea of smelling that badly. I mean, like the thing about it is that everywhere you go, as soon as you open a door to go into Starbucks, everyone's going to turn and look at the smelly girl.
Well, imagine a close friend's parent dies and you go to the funeral. Each person you're shaking hands with and saying condolences to, you then start bragging about your running accomplishments as they are in tears looking at you.
Like, what does that segue sound like? Could you possibly say, I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean, I haven't cried this much since I ran my first marathon. I was just in such pain. I understand and I know what you're going through.
Yeah, I think that's about what I think that's how that would go.
It's flawless.
Diana, it's like you've done this before.
She has done this before.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't want to be the smelly girl.
Guess, would those 5 years be in quarantine like they are now? Because that could be an option. Right?
Then you could get through this.
Self-clean.
Yeah.
Most of the times I only shower because I feel disgusting, not because I smell myself. It's usually I feel sticky. I feel like sunscreen. But
I feel like you would get used to the smell too and not realize you smell.
Oh, yeah. Most people that smell don't realize that they smell.
true.
For me, it's the other people, though. For me, it's like, is everyone going to know me as the smelly guy?
True.
I agree with that. I don't want to be the smelly girl.
You'll be the braggart.
I think I'd rather be the braggart.
But would you rather be like the nice, smelly girl than the braggy girl?
Yeah. The insufferable braggy girl who came to my mom's funeral and talked about herself.
Wow.
She's already that girl.
Oh, my. Yeah, I'm still sticking to I don't want to be the smelly girl.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and I think about the people that are not my favorite people, and it's usually because of that for some reason or not, But
Because they smell.
but I'm trying to think. I don't know anybody that's super smelly. I know like Tom and I yell at each other if we don't take a shower after a run soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because, post-run is a pretty rancid smell.
Like, it's gross. Like, have you ever just pulled your pants down after a run?
Oh,
And it just releases it.
Man,
It just like comes out like green fog, like the smell.
It's like the mist.
This is true. This
Wow.
is true.
I've straight up tried to get into bed after like running a 5K, and Diana's like, absolutely not. You're showering tonight, and I'm like, all right.
Why would you? Why?
Because I'm lazy, Erin. I'm lazy. Okay.
Why? Like, don't you just feel dirty and grimy and like I need to be?
I'm married to her. I did all the work. It's legal now. What am I trying to prove?
Diana, did you make a choice?
I mean, I guess I'd be the braggy girl because I'm halfway there. It'll just take it up a notch.
Take it up a notch.
That would be on brand for you.
What are you going with?
I told you I don't want to be the smelly girl, so I'm going to be the braggy girl.
Gotcha.
We got another consensus this week of 3-1.
I think I would actually take the smelly one.
You would smell.
Just for 5 years.
I don't know what to say to that.
But Michael also has integrity. So
Oh, there's that.
there's that.
There.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Well,
That was a good one. That was a good one, Michael.
Let us know, people. Do you want to smell or do you want to brag?
We'll post it again on Facebook this week.
Either way, you'll be in great shape.
Yeah, I gave an answer, but I'm non-committal. So
We'll post it on our Facebook page as a poll again. Let you guys make sure you guys comment and leave your reasons as to why you want to be either the smelly boy or girl or the braggy boy or girl, and we'll let you know next week what people have to say about that.
So that brings us to the end of the episode. And at the end of each episode, what we want to do is we each want to share something good with you, our listeners, something we enjoy. Can be anything from a new beer we tried to something we've watched on TV, an experience we've had, really anything else we feel like sharing. So Diana, why don't you get us kicked off this week?
So this week, and I'll just share this because it's immediate. We just watched The Act, and it's on Hulu. And I don't know if anyone, a couple years ago, there was this HBO documentary called Mommy Dead, Mommy Dearest. And we were kind of obsessed with it. So it's about this mother who's got basically like, what is it called? Munchausen by proxy syndrome.
Yes. Yep.
Where she fakes that her daughter is sick so that they get all this charity money, and she's a Make-A-Wish kid, but there's literally nothing wrong with her. So she's basically mentally and physically abusing her daughter, and her daughter meets this guy on the internet, and they basically plan it and kill the mom. Spoiler alert. Guess I should have said that before. Anyway, it's a famous news story.
It is, yeah.
We knew this was going to happen, and we watched this Hulu series called The Act. It's 8 episodes. It's got, who was in it, Tom? Patricia Arquette, is that who was the mom?
Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, it had Patricia Arquette as the mom. And we were literally so uncomfortable the entire time we were watching this, even though we knew how it was going to end. Like our skin was crawling, like it was so good. We couldn't turn it off. So we watched 4 episodes one night and 4 episodes the next night. So we watched like 8 hours of television, or just about 8 hours of television in 2 nights because we were so enthralled by it. But I think it was 2019 when it was released. So I think it's about a year old, but definitely recommend it, even if you know the ending. What gets you there is, I don't know, it's crazy. It's a crazy story.
All right. So for me, it was a little documentary we watched called Running for Good. It is on Amazon Prime. It is about a runner from Scotland, or
Which was the UK.
Well, yeah, that is part of the UK. But
Sure,
so we'll say the UK.
Yeah.
And her name is Fiona Oakes, and this was about her running of the Marathon des Sables, which is in Morocco across the Sahara Desert. But it's kind of the story of her and why she runs, and just this like super just uplifting, not in like this overtly miraculous kind of way, but just in this way that she's just a good person who just wants to do this for all these reasons she believes in. It's kind of a dual storytelling thing. Like you get the Marathon des Sables and like her backstory as well. So it flips back and forth between the two. as she's kind of going through the stages of that race. I think there's like whatever 7 stages.
It's a 7-day race.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
Were you guys really inspired after it? Were you like, let's go ahead and do it?
No, the entire time I was like, I would never do this race.
This looked rough, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's in the desert on like sand terrain with sand mountains, like serious elevation of thousands of feet a day and on sand.
Yeah.
And you have to carry everything with you every day.
Yes.
Because you literally sleep out in the desert. So you're running with like a 40-pound pack.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Every single day.
It sounds awful.
Yeah.
So, Erin, tell me something good.
My something good is a brewery that is right down the street from me called Zed's. And they've basically gotten me through the last 3-4 months of being on lockdown. Since most things are closed and I can't go very many places, you can walk there and they have a little tent set up and they do takeaway every day. And so I've been basically drinking all of my beer from them. And they have new releases. They just this past week had 2 email exclusives. So if you are on their email list, you got early access to some releases that they had, like very limited edition stuff. So they released it on Thursday, and then by Saturday when they did their wide release, I think it was sold out by like an hour into opening on Saturday with their wide release.
Oh wow.
And that's the end of it. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that is basically all I drink is Zed's beer.
Nice.
It's nice that you can walk there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big benefit.
Yeah, it's good beer. So, it's if it was like walkable within walking distance and it was terrible beer, then I guess what would be the point? But it's good beer and it's right there. And I like to be able to support these local small businesses who, when they had to shut down their tap room and they had to change their entire business model. And we kind of chatted with them at one point about that, how, changing your entire business model from going from a tap house to being a takeout only kind of place just changes everything. You're having to can everything. So it's interesting. And
it's crazy. A lot of the breweries here have started to do delivery. There's a app called Beer Me that actually this brewery that's in Rockville developed. And now a lot of the breweries in Maryland have it and it's extending to other states. And you can either order it for pickup or which Tom and I usually do because we want to get out of the house, or they'll actually deliver it right to you, which is great.
Yeah.
So, but on the beer front, me and Diana, we ordered beer for pickup from this brewery out of Cambridge, Maryland called RAR. And they released these 5 different kettle sours that are fruited kettle sours. Okay. It's called the Out of Order series. And so if you think of like a slushy, that was the whole premise. So it's different flavors on slushies. So like we got strawberry cotton candy is one of them. Raspberry creme brulee is another. Blueberry whipped cream waffles is another one. So we ordered the beer, and then on Saturday we drove across the Bay Bridge and we went and picked it up, and it gave us an opportunity to get out of the house, take a nice little road trip to Cambridge, and we picked up our beer. But that's not what I want to share. What I want to share is a show that we have been binging called Atlanta. So it's Donald Glover, and it's a show about him in Atlanta, and he basically becomes the manager of a rapper, and it's really well written. We binged the first season. We just started the second season this evening, but we really enjoyed it. And I was not a big Donald Glover fan until we watched Community, but now I'm all in. I think he's awesome. I don't think he can do any wrong. But we've been enjoying Atlanta. But that really brings us to the end. I mean, that wraps up the episode. Be sure to follow us on social media. Please follow, and like our Facebook page, the Will Run For Podcast Facebook page. Please follow us on Instagram at Will Run For Podcast. If you can use that hashtag Will Run For Podcast in your running adventures, please tag our Instagram in that. And we'd also love to hear feedback from you. We'd love to hear why you're running. Leave a comment on Facebook. You can also email us at willrun4podcast@gmail.com. And remember, we're going to be releasing these on a bi-weekly basis. So we hope to have a new episode every other Monday. So this is Tom. For Erin, Diana, and Michael, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye. See you, everyone.
Bye. Have a great week.
Just come over and we'll kill my mom.
It's the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life.